body of a gorilla, and where once I would have loved to have made a necrophiliac quip right there, I suddenly find I have no desire!
Oh my god, it still doesn't feel real, does it? But this is still the Kongversation. I'm still Hyle Russell, and we're still talking about K. Rool in Smash Brothers. So, as promised last episode, I have invited two very special guests on with me this time around, and they are known collectively as the Kremling Kampaigners, but for our purposes, we'll call them Thomas and Eric. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello,
Here we are.
Hello, yes. So, for longtime listeners of the Kongversation, you may recognize one half of these guys. This isn't Thomas's first time on the show. Way back in season 2, in late September, we did an episode with Thomas called Requiem for a Ream, because we took the word dream and we just thought, well, there's an R as the second letter, so what we could do like a K roll thing. Anyway, so that was season 2, episode 41 of the Kongversation, and we had him on because this was right after, I believe, the Nintendo 3DS version of Super Smash Bros. 4 came out, before the Wii U version. That whole period is a blur.
So basically, like right after we learned the final roster.
Right, or at least
there was this awkward middle stage where everybody was like, "Hey, there's going to secretly be new characters on the Wii U, and they're going to retroactively be DLC on the 3DS." It was something I was very fixated on at the time, and it was just far different circumstances. Couldn't be happier to have that in the rearview mirror. That's for sure.
So I've got mixed opinions because obviously there was more to it. We didn't realize at the time that there was more to it. But because there's going to be the ballot, there's going to be like just another year or so of this insanity and inanity. And a week ago, I would have said I would have preferred it to have just ended right there. No DLC, no other ancillary characters, no ballot. But now, given what I've been led to believe, the ballot may have been the best thing to have ever happened for us. So we'll get into all that. But Thomas, it's great to have you on here. It's kind of a sequel, a more positive, happier ending than where we left it last time. And Eric, it's great to have you on here as well for the first time.
It's such a funny thing is like reflecting back on this time, however long ago. Like this time a week ago, we had little idea more than just rumblings that this was even a possibility. And it would have been going on like 4 years ago that, I would have been sitting in dorm room saying, oh my God, when are they just going to confirm him? It's we just got Robin and Lucina, more anime boards with swords. And it was just constant angst, and it's a good time capsule to look back on. Maybe not the best look in 2018, but
and
what are you gonna do? Hindsight's 2020.
About 3 years ago to the date, it was around the time that the Mii costume was confirmed. So if you go back 3 years, you go to the Mii costume. Then 4 years, that's about the launch of the 3DS version.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
well,
it's been a pretty eventful month over the past few years.
Well, and just in case you want to get in touch with these guys, they are on Twitter, I don't know why I said it like that, Twitter, at Bring Back K. Rool. They're known as the Kremling Kampaigners. And, you guys have been leaders in this movement to get K. Rool in Super Smash Bros. Obviously, there's been, several figures who have played a part in it, but I think... the only person I tagged in the initial excitement on Twitter after I was like, oh, okay, I got to collect my thoughts. K. Rool's in Smash Brothers. I got to make a tweet. I'm DK Vine. I got to make a tweet. And the only person in that like excitement I could think of to tag was Kremling Kampaigners in that initial picture of K. Rool's newcomer tagline, whatever. So you guys have been at the forefront of this. Through Twitter, Smashboards, what have you. You've been active in the various communities, trying to shepherd excitement, advocating for K. Rool, and I got to be honest, like, you guys have kept the faith longer than I did, and it's not that I lost faith. It's not that I lost my desire to have K. Rool in Smash Brothers, but I think I hit a point where the whole experience of Smash 4, as I've discussed on this show, was so personally toxic and ruinous, and just it left such a foul taste in my mouth, like when you throw up but you don't brush your teeth afterward, that I had to just kind of almost take a step back and be more zen about Smash 5, Smash Ultimate, because ultimately I didn't want to have that experience again, because as much as I want K. Rool and Smash Brothers, I didn't want to poison myself and also poison our audience. And I still wanted to support K. Rool. I still wanted to, do this and that. But you guys stayed in the trenches, and
we did.
I mean, more power to you, because I mean, it obviously paid off. If this was a different experience, if this was after Smash Ultimate came out and there was still nothing to show for it, I would be, having nothing but sympathy for you. But now I have nothing but respect for you. So
I appreciate it. It's not as though it was easy the whole time. I mean, there have been times where I've gotten jaded too and wanted to take a step back after the ballot in particular. I think in hindsight, we put sort of a needless amount of urgency on getting in right then and there.
It's because Sakurai's hands were broken. Sakurai's hands were
a lot of that stems from the fact that the advertising for the ballot itself, it was misleading, because the way they phrased it on the website when the ballot first started was that it was going to be DLC for Smash 4, and all of our votes were going to be for that game at the time. We had no idea that our votes and the results of the ballot would be used for Smash Ultimate.
Right. I mean, It makes sense in hindsight. I mean, the Wii U was breathing its dying gasps at the time. Of course, with a new sequel right around the corner, they're going to want to save their big guns for that. It's just we didn't have that perspective at the time. Smash 4 was being marketed as the end-all, be-all ultimate experience. Exactly. Turns out it was just the calm before the storm.
Yeah, I mean, thinking back to that time, we didn't know there was going to be a fifth Smash Brothers, and an ultimate Smash Brothers. All we knew is Sakurai, he had punished himself making Smash 4. There were some indications that this was it for him, that he wouldn't be doing another one. And it really felt like it was do or die time. I remember the way I felt back at the very end of it all, where it was just, well, that was it. And I lost faith in the Smash series. I lost faith in it as far as delivering fan service for people like us. Like, you know me. I'm all about the Donkey Kong universe, and besides, we got a couple stages around, throughout the years. We got Diddy and Brawl, but all in all, no assist trophies. It was just, it felt like a complete shutout, Smash 4.
Right. And then you look at the costume much differently in summer of 2015, not knowing what we know now, and then seeing Bayonetta and Corrin get in. You see this complete outlier that has a rare model that's so faithfully rendered, but then seemingly not capitalized upon. And it can lead you into sort of speculation rabbit holes of saying, it's a complete consolation prize. They're never going to put him in. It's the most you're ever going to get, so just stop and appreciate it. And in hindsight, that costume was very much appreciable at the time. It's just it becomes so easy to get fixated, and even now, it's good to take a step back every now and then.
Well, when the costume first came out, initially I didn't know how to feel. At first, I was like, "Oh my God, it's over. This is a consolation prize." But then I started examining it further, and I realized, well, why would they go through all this effort to make such a good-looking costume and then let it go to waste, when they could have easily just recycled his trophy model and then passed it off as a costume? But the Smash Ultimate version of K. Rool doesn't exactly look like the costume either, so perhaps they used it as a base for Smash Ultimate, but ultimately they still went with something more of a hybrid between the Payon model and the rare models, which I like.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hyle, that was something I was I think trying to get across in the call I made to the previous episode.
Yes.
Not necessarily that they secretly pulled this new Ultimate K Rool from a hidden game. But one thing that we know Sakurai tends to do is he likes to consult with the different designers of every character. So we know there's a DK team somewhere squirreled away at Nintendo, as touched upon with Davide Soliani in that one interview about Rabbids. So for all we know, they weren't talking to Steve Mails over this. He was just as surprised as we were.
They should have been, but I mean, whatever.
Yeah, they should have done a lot of things.
We were talking to them and saying, hey, how do we want this character to look? We're going to bring him back. And so they say, maybe take a little column A from the rare model, column B from the pay-on model. And hey, by the way, when you're done with it, maybe we can use it in a future DK game. I think that would just be the bee's knees. Well,
Smash is so influential that this is going to be what K. Rool looks like from here on out, and I'm fine with that because it is the perfect, I think, compromise between the two main looks of K. Rool, the rare design and the pay-on design. It's got the best of both elements in there, and when you add in the Smash touches that are always appreciated, like the scars all over his body and the torn and tattered cape that's well past its prime. I'm in love with this design, and it's the kind of stuff that as fans we don't necessarily consider or think about or speculate about beforehand, that when we actually get a character that they're going to be changing up some things and kind of modernizing a bit. But I have no complaints. This is the definitive version of King K. Rool for me.
What do you think about how animalistic he is, running on all fours and snapping at DK and everything?
It's great because it makes him look like he's just that more unhinged. It makes him look, pardon the term, given that you just mentioned Soliani, rabid. It makes him look... it makes him look like he's just this guy who's got nothing to lose. He's gonna bite you if he crosses you on the street. Like he's a crazy man, and it also works well with the more animalistic nature of the Kongs in Smash Brothers as well. And
exactly, I think it allows him to act as like a parallel to DK because now they both run on all fours. It's not just K. Rool walking around like an anthropomorphic Sonic character. He actually behaves like a crocodile.
Yeah, a crocodile who can still stand on his hind legs and, dress in a crown and pretend to be a pirate man sometimes.
One of the really old Sakurai comments he made around Brawl, he was talking about how he revived Pit and redesigned Pit. And one of the comments he was making was he basically acted as though Pit and the Kid Icarus series had gone through sort of a Legend of Zelda-esque transformation over the years. He wanted to envision what Pit would look like at the end of that transformation at the time Brawl was coming out. It really wouldn't be too much of an assumption for me personally to think, in redesigning K. Rool, he thought, if he had come back in Returns, if he'd come back in Tropical Freeze, what would he look like? And I have to say, I think, it might be an exact match, if not the next closest thing.
What are you talking about? He would look just like Lord Frederick.
He would look like that. Oh yeah.
Well, of course, because with regards to the other Donkey Kong characters that Retro has utilized, they've all had their pay-on models. So and K. Rool feels like kind of like an evolution of the pay-on model, but it also has influence of the rare design with the golden belly and the tail, the much smaller tail, but a tail nonetheless.
It's growing back.
I think they've met the perfect balance.
Yeah, and look, it's so weird to think about because we're recording this on Tuesday the 14th. It's been for us less than a week since we found this incredible information out. So to even be talking about, well, this is what K. Rool's going to look like in his next appearance. Like what? How?
Such new terrain.
I know.
Mature, huh?
Your Twitter handle is Bring Back K. Rool, and that's going to become quickly an anachronism, something that hasn't applied in years.
Right. Very much part of appreciating the possibilities moving forward is also taking a breath to say, we got him back. He's right in front of us right now. Let's just savor what's there. There will be time to think about what he's going to look like in Returns 3 or DK Switch years from now, and very much we're going to get that chance. It's just a matter of, being excited, but also being thankful. And we have a lot to be thankful for after that direct.
Yeah, so I want to hear about your reactions and feelings and emotions watching that trailer for the first time. Did you guys keep your ear to the ground of the Smash world, the rumors, the leaks, both real and fake, much more than I do? I have to keep a pinky in all of the various comings and goings of the Donkey Kong universe and Rare, and so I don't really have time to really dedicate to Smash Brothers. I've got to really focus. And again, the last time I did that was Smash 4, and it just was corrosive to my soul. So you guys you were in the thick of it. Did you have any idea this was coming last Wednesday?
Eric, you want us to take this?
Yes and no. I know it's kind of like a non-committal answer, but I mean, some user on Smashboards has been compiling lists of rumors and leaks over the past 4 or 5 months since the game was announced in March. And unsurprisingly, K. Rool was at the top of the characters that appeared in the most leaks. And now, as we obviously found out, 99% of them were fake. But I think most people, given K. Rool's performance in the Smash ballot, expected him to show up at some point. That being said, did I expect him to show up last Wednesday? Well, not exactly. Prior to that, the evening before, there was, to give a little bit of background information, Verjibin, the German guy who's been leaking all sorts of stuff, his reliability is in question, but he was responsible for leaking Simon Belmont. And as we obviously found out, that leak turned out to be true. And the night before the direct aired, he received a PM from somebody who's obviously full of shit. Pardon my language.
Oh, we say much worse on this show. It's fine.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure you do. But anyway, the person he spoke to claimed that there would be no new DK reps in the game. And we do have a Discord chat, the Kremling Kampaigners. We have the Bring Back K. Rool Discord chat. And when that news was first posted in the chat, everybody were freaking out. They were having meltdowns. They were convinced it was the end. They thought, oh, well, if we're probably just going to get Simon Belmont tomorrow, so I'm not even going to bother watching the direct because K. Rool. And a few hours after Verjibin posted that rumor from his alleged source, he backtracked and said, oh, I think he's lying. Obviously, Verjibin didn't know one way or the other whether K. Rool was in the game, so he did backtrack, which was nice, because as soon as I got home from work, I saw people in the chat having meltdowns. I saw the message from Verjibin saying no new GK reps, and admittedly, I was a little concerned, even though, I've always been one of the more optimistic people in the Bring Back K. Rool movement. Some people even accused me of potentially having insider information because I was so adamant that K. Rool would be in the game. I gave him a 100% chance of being in the game. And many people questioned that. They said, oh, no character is 100%. There's no way you can possibly believe that. But anyway, so after the rumor was essentially debunked, people began being a little more optimistic. I tried to corral everybody and say, oh, everything's going to be okay. We still have a chance. K. Rool is still coming. Even if he's not revealed today, he can still be revealed in a future direct. So going into the direct itself, I honestly wasn't expecting to see K. Rool at that point in time. I was still convinced. I was still 100% sure he would be in the game. I just wasn't certain if he'd be shown. And, well, the rest is history.
Yeah. So give a little bit more backstory. If you're a fly on the wall and you're a DK fan in a number of these Discord channels, you hear all these hard to pin down rumors of, maybe there's going to be some Steve Mails character shown off. Maybe DKU fans have a reason to tune in, or maybe they don't. Maybe that's just somebody leaking private information in public. You never know. And sort of
Yeah.
the bird's eye view above that is that, the fan base was a little bit split into two camps beforehand, especially after Ridley. You had some people saying the fact that they chose to bring back every single veteran and Ridley, who'd been wanted for however many years, is a good sign for characters like Rool, who basically live and die based off their fan support. But then you had other people who would say, you know what, it's entirely a coincidence. All of those characters appeared in recent games. They had foresight that Ridley would be in Samus Returns at the time when years before they chose him for Smash. Relevance is a big fixation for a lot of people, sort of a thorn in my side. But
well, especially after Smash 4 Smash 4 just felt like, quick, we got to promote these characters because the Wii U was floundering.
It's entrenched it, and it's not as though it's a non-factor. It's just not the end-all be-all when there's so many other good reasons to appreciate a character and for a character to be likable. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, those sort of people were saying like, Ridley's going to be the one fan service representative, the one character the fans care about, and otherwise it's just going to be, who's the flavor of the month that they want to promote in such a big stage. So, I was a little bit cautiously optimistic. I would very much say Rool had a 50-50 chance just because the reasons he would not make it in after the ballot would be stuff that we would not be able to foresee until it's too late. Stuff about, maybe Sakurai doesn't think he is unique enough. And that's a crazy thing for a lot of his fans to consider with all of his weapons and his costumes. But he might just say, how do we differentiate him from Bowser? I guess we can't. Let's take him out. And so, I always was trying to avoid a repeat where the entire fan base convinced themselves he was a shoo-in for 4 just because of internet activity, but that didn't necessarily pan out. So, just hedge your bets and take it easy. So going into the direct, it pretty much met my expectations. There's a lot of cool stuff as far as the modes they chose to include, stamina stock and switching between characters after each stock. Those have been long-time suggestions. That's a cool thing to see. The moment that Sakurai said, here, we're going to show you some items and assist trophies, and then you see fucking Donkey Kong walk out with a banana.
Oh, my God. Oh, God.
I don't know if that was much of a heart stopper for you guys, but
it was. It absolutely was. I think a lot of people in the chat, because I was watching the reactions live on Discord during the direct, and a lot of people were like panicking in that brief moment because they thought, oh my God, Rool or Dixie is gonna like show up in between them as the assist trophy.
Yeah, my perspective was after the ballot, he's either going to be playable because of the requests, or they're not going to meet him, but they're still going to have him physically show up, most likely as an assist trophy. So
yeah, and especially after like Crystal and Bomberman, it kind of sets the precedence of potentially popular ballot picks being given consolation prizes as assist trophies.
Yeah, my idea of a good direct going into Wednesday morning was surviving that sort of assist trophy montage. So we get through that, we see the claptrap, which it made me sort of do a mini convulsion in my seat. I was very happy to see that. They look great. It makes sense that they would be the first Donkey Kong assist trophy since they already have fresh models on Congo Falls and Jungle Japes. So then, yeah, the direct ends. I thought I hallucinated the first rumbling behind Sakurai as he's talking.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, and then the second one happens. And, part of the lizard brain just goes, no character makes sense to do that really, except the one that people are now saying could be the heaviest in the game, period, Rool.
Yeah.
And then you see the villains, and then it just sort of dissembled from there, and it was euphoria.
Yeah.
So, so in the last episode I described some of my initial reactions, and I guess I was just so numb to it, and I was so disassociated from the Smash community this time around that it completely caught me off guard. Even the end of the direct, I wasn't necessarily even expecting any new character. I don't even know what I was expecting. I was just kind of zoned out. I was just kind of waiting for it to be done so I could go about my day. And even like, I wasn't even picking up on the small details like, oh, these are all of these protagonists fighting either the main villain of their series or the closest analog that they can have in Smash. And I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking, oh, what's this? And then that the TV goes off, or what we find out is a TV turns off, and then we have Donkey Kong's mouth yawning.
His beautifully rendered mouth.
Oh, luscious mouth. And then
Air quality.
And then you see Diddy on the tire swing, and then that's when everything just shut down. That the whole out-of-body experience, everything ceases to exist. You're suddenly in some sort of dreamlike state. And so for me, it completely caught me off guard. But, I mean, what were your, like, when was the heart leaping out of your chest? Was it when you saw the villains, or was it when, I mean, just describe to me as best you can. The villains, okay.
When I first heard the rumble, like, given the rumors that were transpiring the previous night, I was like, for a brief second, I'm like, maybe it's Incineroar or something ridiculous like that. But then after the second rumble came, that's when I thought, well, I mean, K. Rool's probably going to be the heaviest character on the roster, so maybe it's him. And then as soon as I saw Mario and Bowser, I'm like, oh my god, here it comes.
Yeah, I saw the villains and I thought that made it maybe 90-95%. I think seeing Donkey Kong's mouth clinched it because, there's still the off chance it can be like a story mode. Kind of the go-to assumption for a lot of these reveals for the fans is it's going to be Subspace 2. It's going to be Subspace 2. And, I didn't necessarily know that they would close on that without further explanation. But,
I didn't even consider the possibility of it being Subspace 2 because I thought, well, I mean, there's precedent, like they're probably going to close on a character reveal like they usually do. So I was surprised by the seemingly, overwhelming majority of people seemed to think it was Subspace 2 until DK's mouth appeared, and then everybody just started screaming and going apeshit.
The really heartwarming thing, and I've been watching a lot of the reaction videos over the past few days. The fun thing is you have a lot of these people who are YouTubers, not necessarily the biggest DK fans, but, they see the Kongs show up, they see the rumbling, and instantly they instinctively go, it's King K. Rool, it's King K. Rool. They're not necessarily fans of the character, but they have this conception of
they recognize
they can see it coming, and they're excited for it.
See, I would have, if I had my wits about me, I would have worried it was Arcade Donkey Kong as a playable character, or it wouldn't have been Lord Frederick because there seems to be so little communication between Retro and Sakurai's team.
Yeah, I think that's true. It could have been like something.
Or it would have been, it wouldn't have been Ghastly King. But so it starts falling apart, I guess, after that. But I could have intellectually shot down the hype that, oh my god, it has to be K. Rool, can't be anything but K. Rool. But I admit, as soon as I saw Donkey and Diddy, I knew. It's just, I'm trying to steel myself. And even when the shadow falls on the window, and then, of course, we had the fake out, but the fake out didn't concern me at all because I knew you wouldn't have the fake out without the actual reveal right after. But
yeah, there were some YouTubers who were seemingly under the impression that the fake out was going to stick and it was going to be somebody else. I didn't buy it.
I don't know how anybody could possibly think that.
Guardians of the Galaxy, they might be assholes, but they're not 100% dicks.
No,
they would not do that.
Exactly. When Sakurai trolls or like tries to mislead you, he usually follows it up with like something genuine, like a few seconds later. Like in Smash 4 when he said, "Oh, Zero Suit Samus isn't going to be a playable character," and then he showed her like 3 seconds later. Like Sakurai, for all his faults, he's not malicious. He doesn't intentionally try to. Some Ridley fans would probably argue, well, he intentionally tried to disrespect us with Ridley's portrayal in Pyrosphere, but that's another topic.
Yeah, but he made it up to him by having that be the first new character reveal. Minus Daisy, I guess, but you know what I mean. So yeah. How does it feel for you, Guy? You've essentially spent more than half of a decade doing this. How does it feel now that you've won?
It hasn't sunken in, that's for sure.
No, it hasn't sunken in for me either. It feels good, obviously, but
it's going to, I think, trickle in. That feeling is going to trickle in, in the coming months as you see more footage of K. Rool. That, you helped shepherd people in that direction of voting for him, as you say. Yeah. One funny thing that gets brought up sometimes in our Discord channel is that Sakurai has never mentioned the name K. Rool. Even after his reveal, he's not spoken about him in any interviews, even though he's done so for a lot of other sort of obscure characters people have requested in large amounts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what he has to say and what justification he provides for why he chose to bring him back. And, also from, being a fly in some Discord channels, it seems as though this might have been something Sakurai really wanted to do, and then Nintendo knew he could carry it through. He said, this is my opportunity to bring him back into prominence. Let me put my stamp on him. And Jesus Christ, I don't know that he could have done a better job if he tried.
I don't think Metro themselves could have done a better job. I think Sakurai killed it. He absolutely killed it.
Based on what my source within Nintendo, who we affectionately label as Dave Throat, what they told me last Wednesday was that the reason K. Rool got in was because of the ballot, and not necessarily. I should correct, because there seems to be some confusion, as I've been told, that people are saying that DK Vine, said that K. Rool won the ballot. I don't know who finished where on the ballot. That information was not provided, nor do I know if my source even knows. All I know is K. Rool finished pretty damn high on the ballot, so much so that it shocked Nintendo. It shocked Sakurai. Nobody knew he had such a passionate fan base. Nobody knew that this fan base existed for these characters, these rare characters created for Donkey Kong. And
well, that's something that always kind of bothered me. Like, should we really have to prove that a fan base for these characters exists? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm happy we've done what we've done in getting K. Rool back, but like the reasoning for getting rid of him in the first place, and then for us to have to basically tell them, well, we want him back, it just, I don't know, it really strikes me as tone deaf, because you don't have people like, they're basically saying, well, unless you vocally express your support for X character, then we're just going to remove him for no reason. It's just, I don't know. Like, imagine if nobody vocally expressed their support for Bowser and they just decided to scrap him one day. Like, I don't know.
I think it's a weird situation, though, that we, being the, whatever you want to call it, the Donkey Kong fan base for K. Rool, it's a weird situation we found ourselves in, because the creators, the originators of the Donkey Kong Country style of Donkey Kong, essentially left Nintendo, and then the franchise was suddenly back in the hands of the Nintendo and different teams, and I refer to it as a war for the soul of Donkey Kong that occurred post Rare, where different development teams wanted to take the series in a different direction, be it let's just continue essentially what Rare was doing, no, let's completely reinvent the characters and have them be our own characters, or no, let's just go back to the arcade days. And ultimately, yeah. I mean,
I don't disagree with what you're saying, Eric. I do want to sort of, I guess, give credit where credit is due. Something that a lot of Smash fans were saying after the ballot and in the lead up to this reveal was that, K. Rool fans, they're just a vocal minority. The silent majority secretly wants all these other characters that are actually my personal choices.
And that's the thing, because we've been into a position where we've had to be vocal.
Yeah, we're going to project that onto this silent majority of little kids and pretend that your characters that you're mentioning online, actually no one cares about them. They could have just silently allowed that to stand and decided to not bring back K. Rool. They're never going to publish the ballot results. They're never going to say, oh, he actually won. They decided as a gesture of goodwill to us to say, we hear you. We want to do this. And, they deserve all the kudos in the world for that, as far as I care.
Well, yeah, and since we're often told, oh, the K. Rool fan base is a vocal minority, like I said, we were essentially put into a position where we had to be vocal, otherwise the character would essentially turn into Wart or Tatanga or whatever else, another character who hasn't appeared in like 25 years or whatever.
Well, okay.
So basically,
go
ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. Here's the thing, you guys, and Thomas. I think I brought this up with you back in season 2 of the Kongversation. At one point in time, K. Rool fans would have been a very, very small minority. What changed was you guys and everyone involved in this campaign to raise K. Rool's profile, raise his awareness, and make people realize why he's such a fantastic character. And you guys are responsible for doing that. So yeah, we are not a minority in the fan base, but at one point in time we would have been. So I mean, the circumstances were you guys completely did a PR campaign for this fictional character for the better part of a decade, and converted people into seeing the merits of that character. I've seen some of the reaction, videos when the trailer was, say, being broadcast at the, Nintendo World Store in Manhattan. And you have little kids, maybe not little kids, but like kids that are definitely prepubescent screaming about K. Rool, kids who would have never been alive during K. Rool's heyday, freaking the fuck out about K. Rool. And that's because they were introduced to the character through means like this. So give yourself a pat on the back, because seriously,
to hear you say that. And something I'm personally making an effort to do is to not discount the role of luck. I don't think this sort of campaign would work for just any character.
No.
If they hailed from a less beloved series, or they had less personality to offer, I think one pretty critical thing that, from my perspective, we were able to do, we didn't just show people how great K. Rool was. We showed him how great he had the potential to be if brought back. And we also made it clear that this was not just about Smash Brothers. This was not, a sense of entitlement that we deserved more Donkey Kong representation or more villains. It was also, we feel this is the direction we want the Donkey Kong series to go.
Yeah, exactly. Not just Smash.
Well,
this is what we want to pursue.
Yeah, well, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier about there being a war for Donkey Kong's soul. Ultimately, we got Donkey Kong Country back, and 2 games I really, really love and I think are terrific, but they still had the tendency to want to reinvent Donkey Kong's world, except for bare minimum returning elements, and now I feel like there's a change in the air, obviously, with this. This is completely unprecedented to get a character back like K. Rool after a decade absence. I mean, 10 years this month. It's just it's been
fun
so
on the baseball diamond.
Yes. And the fact that, because there was that lack of connection, because the fan base of Donkey Kong Country has mostly associated online and communicated online with Rare and Rare alum and the people who created these characters. And there's been that disconnect between us and Nintendo. What happened was they gave the ballot, they opened their ears with the ballot, and it gave us a chance to directly communicate with Nintendo, not just Nintendo of America, not just Retro Studios, but the people in Japan, and all of a sudden they heard the massive groundswell for this character and for characters like Ridley, and it made all the difference in the world. I mean, Sakurai, from what I'm led to believe, after Sakurai saw the results, he wanted dibs on K. Rool. Other developers also may have wanted to bring him back before then, but Sakurai had dibs, and we're seeing his grand return now in Smash Brothers, which, quite honestly, I'm glad it's happening here in Ultimate and not in, say, the Switch version of Tropical Freeze or Donkey Kong.
I was going to go there. Basically, yeah, if you compare those two alternate realities where he comes back now versus, is a secret end world boss in Tropical Freeze for the Switch, I think it almost would have diluted a little bit of the effort we were able to put forth. He still would have come back in Smash, but it would have been, the fans didn't matter. It took until he was relevant in another game to bring him back. Yeah, exactly. This way, now that he's introduced in Smash Switch and on the largest possible stage, the reason that happened is pretty unmistakable. It was us. And that's so awesome to.
But not only that, but Smash is this great middle of the Venn diagram of all other Nintendo franchises in that everybody pays attention to it. So all of a sudden,
Nintendo fans.
Yeah. So all of a sudden now people see this trailer, pay attention to K. Rool. That's something that will make him unforgettable in a way that having it be a secret boss fight you unlock after getting everything in new funky mode would never have the resonance with. I mean, most people wouldn't even realize K. Rool is back, and then you'd have people saying, well, K. Rool can't be in Smash Brothers. Rare owns him.
Oh, yeah. And there was a talking point that came up in some circles in the lead up to this game. It was, K. Rool still might not happen because even though he was in these big blockbuster games, the little kids never made it all the way to the end of Donkey Kong Country. They still don't know who he is. It's basically trying to pull a rabbit out of a hat to justify why he can still go ignored. And, it's almost as fulfilling, as seeing him in the game as seeing those talking points kind of go down in flames.
Well, pretty much every anti-K. Rool talking point is going down in flames because they can't use the relevance argument anymore. Because once you're in Smash, you're basically relevant forever. It's like a circular argument because on one hand you can say, well, X character doesn't deserve to be in Smash because they're irrelevant, but on the other hand, if they were in Smash, then they would no longer be irrelevant. So it's just a stupid reasoning as far as I'm concerned, especially since. K. Rool has always been relevant due to the various different virtual console re-releases of the Donkey Kong Country games, and more recently the Super Nintendo Classic. So even though he hasn't had an appearance in a new game since Sluggers, he's always had a presence online, on message boards, on YouTube, and thanks to YouTubers and streaming. Little kids, they watch videos of these games online. They watch videos of Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong 64, and even though they may not have grown up with these games, they still recognize them. They still recognize the characters. They want to fit in, so they want to fit in with their elders, their big brothers, their big sisters. So they watch videos of these games online, and they really stick with them, even though they may not have grown up with them.
One thing I sort of want to take the opportunity to do, in reading through some of the K. Rool reactions on DK Vine, there have been just a handful of people kind of, I guess, retroactively taking a dump on Retro's decision-making, oh, take that, Retro, look at that. You didn't want him to come back, and there he is. I don't want this to become any sort of platform for people to besmirch those games. They were fantastic games with or without.
Absolutely.
Especially since Retro probably wasn't responsible for that decision in the first place.
These are the guys who played through every Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Land to gear up for returns. They are DK fans themselves, and it shows in what they do. As far as I'm concerned, both chapters of the series history can coexist. And, just because K. Rool's back doesn't mean that people can't take after Retro and, experiment with new villains from time to time, just so long as they don't completely discard the main villain in the process.
Exactly.
You can give him a side quest. You can make him a third villainous faction, even a playable character. Something I thought is now that
you
he's
have a Spider-Man 3 situation where you have 4 villains.
Yeah,
because Spider-Man 3 was so great.
It's all that to just make him sort of a similar playable character to Donkey Kong in a way that you couldn't do when he was running around upright.
Yeah,
that's really true.
And I think it's worth pointing out that I think when you just say Retro didn't want K. Rool back, I'm pretty sure there were people in Retro who would have loved to have used K. Rool. We will never know fully the circumstances behind the decision-making behind Returns and Tropical Freeze. But what we do know, or at least what my source leads me to believe, is that we needed a dramatic example to make Nintendo realize, no, the fans actually care about this character. It's not something that's just disposable or interchangeable. We actually do care about the ballot was a dramatic example, like the Batman. It shook up the organized crime of keeping K. Rool out of Donkey Kong games. And So, I mean, I am absolutely certain if Retro makes a third Donkey Kong Country game, Donkey Kong Country Baja Blast, or whatever you want to call it, we'll definitely be seeing K. Rool in it. And look, they can deny it all they want. They sneaked in some K. Rool references in those games. That rock in the background of Tropical Freeze with the banana crown. Come on, that was absolutely K. Rool. Absolutely.
Well, don't tell that to Miyamoto.
I don't think Miyamoto has the influence he once had. You look at...
Well, yeah. I mean, recently I don't think he has the influence he did around the time of Return's development.
No.
Because I think he was one of the big drivers behind wanting to scrap the Kremlings for Returns. And his influence within Nintendo was kind of starting to wane. They're more open to utilizing characters that were created by Rare, I think.
Yeah, and you look at Super Mario Odyssey. Look at Super Mario Odyssey with the amount of references in that game. I mean, it's so unlike what we have seen from Nintendo in the past. I've mentioned before that it feels like there's a generational changeover at Nintendo right now, and that
absolutely
what we're seeing
was one of the big
what we're seeing now are people coming up who grew up as fans of Donkey Kong Country, and they're not necessarily held to the doctrine and the weird I don't know, cultural taboo of using these characters just because they weren't created in-house. You know, yeah, we may own them, but they're not ours. Yeah, who cares? We're fans of them. We want to see them. Let's bring them back. They're great.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, the series' future's never been brighter, and I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree.
Yeah, somebody at the beginning of the year, somebody called it 2018, and it really does feel like that's living up to the prediction. And DK Vine, we say we're in the middle of the Rare Renaissance because it just feels like everything is starting to break our way as far as just Donkey Kong and everything in the Rare shared universe, and it's really feeling like this is just this huge victory. It is the last victory we needed as Donkey Kong fans. We got Country back almost a decade ago. Christ, almost a decade ago at this point.
I can't believe it's been like 8 years since Return.
If you listen, you can hear it coming.
Yeah. But we still needed this. We still needed this victory for, I guess, the characters of Donkey Kong Country, if not the gameplay. And now we have it. And I mean, where are we going to go next? Any other wishes for Smash Brothers, though? We're going to get back to K. Rool here because we have some calls to take. But I want to hear what else you guys might want for now that you can breathe. Now that what you actually want and got in the game, everything else now is gravy.
Random rumor and stressed out over the possibility of K. Rool not being playable.
So now that the days are sunny from here until release, what else would you like to see?
Eric?
Well, let's see here. I mean, other than like the obvious, like Dixie and Banjo, like pretty much any DKU character I can think of. I mean, it's so difficult because I spent so many years. I mean, K. Rool was the big request for me. I mean, I promised myself that after K. Rool got in, I would just distance myself from the community entirely. Give up on Smash speculation forever because I got what I wanted. But
see, I said that about Diddy. I said that about Diddy and Brawl, and then literally like a week later, I was like, but K. Rool? So,
and like as soon as we got K. Rool, I'm like, well, I can wait a little while longer and see if we get Dixie and Banjo, and then we'll go. But no, I mean, there are some other characters I'd like to see. I mean, now that K. Rool's in, like, I'm pretty much open to anything. Like, if a character I don't like gets in, I won't even care, because basically I'll be happy for the fans of any character who gets in. Because now that I'm happy, I want other people to be happy too. But in terms of me personally, I mean, I really want to see Rayman. I always thought it was bizarre how Rayman just got a random trophy in Smash 4 and they didn't use it for anything. I mean, there were rumors that Ubisoft tried contacting Nintendo themselves and advocated for Rayman in Smash, and I think Sakurai sort of hinted at it, that Ubisoft sent him the trophy model probably because they were trying to like pitch the idea of a playable Rayman. I don't know, but the whole situation was really weird. I mean, Rayman, I would love to see. I mean, I'm open to pretty much anything at this point. I want other people to get what they want.
Yeah, from my perspective, I'm not letting myself get, too demanding of anything else. We had no right to get K. Rool as great as we got him. Some people were just saying, maybe he will only use attacks from Donkey Kong Country 1. They won't use the blunderbuss or the helicopter pack, or they'll invent moves for most of his moveset. We got all we wanted and more. You could have lifted his attacks basically off any fan moveset for him and had it be perfectly faithful. So with that being said, it's more of a spectator sport than something I'm personally invested in at the moment. I would love to see Dixie, and I was very, very excited that Crom, of all people, showed that you can have an Echo Fighter that differs in terms of the special moves they have.
Yeah,
something we saw coming out of a lot of Dixie fan movesets was she takes her neutral special and side special from Diddy. She takes her up special and down special from Donkey Kong. With the hair spin and with the hair ground pound, and then the bubble gun and some variant of the monkey flip. I think that is differentiating her a good amount to where it's faithful without it being disrespectful to the character. I'm also very optimistic that Banjo might be able to happen strictly on the grounds that, if they feel this comfortable showing K. Rool and Ridley, with 4 months to go until release, I think they might still have a few bullets in the chamber. And I think Banjo is probably one of the one or two characters who could do that, other than, reviving Waluigi from the dead or something just inane like that. I wonder. I kind of laugh about the possibility of Banjo having realistic bear noises. I wonder if they would do that, instead of go, and maybe time will tell. I don't think there's as much urgency for him or for Dixie as there was for K. Rool, so I'm glad he came first. But now, like Eric said, I just want people to be happy, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I almost don't even want to play the game because I feel bad. Like, well, we could get Dixie as an Echo, and then I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Dixie should absolutely be in there as an Echo, but then Funky would make too much sense not to do as an Echo as Donkey Kong, and then, yeah, of course Banjo Kazooie need to be in it, of course, and then think about that trailer, and then I'm all down that rabbit hole, and I'm bitter somehow, even though we got the most implausible character, or what would have been the most implausible character a decade ago in K. Rool. And I mean, K. Rool's in the game. What? Like that's almost worth 10 Dixies. And I love Dixie. Dixie's one of my favorite video game characters of all time. But if I'm being honest, like Dixie would have been such a safe, boring choice for Smash Brothers. K. Rool is just, it still like melts my brain. I can't even articulate what it makes me feel because it just seems so laughable. This time last Tuesday night, I wasn't thinking, well, I'm going to be recording 2 podcasts in the next week about K. Rool being in Smash Brothers because it's definitely going to happen tomorrow. Like, it's just crazy. So
I guess, to take a step back and I guess be a little bit more grounded, I'll be happy if we get a few good new remixes of Donkey Kong Country music. So we got the medley of Bonus Room Blitz and Simian Segway. And we also got the great new Gangplank Galleon remix that's on the website right now as of recording time, Wednesday night. Actually. So if we get any more on top of that, I'd be happy.
I'll actually be playing that as we head out on this episode. Now, we've got some calls to take. Now, most of these calls came through actually while we were recording the last podcast I did with Josh Wallen from the Geek Critique. So they're about K. Rool, but they're not necessarily applicable to tonight's episode, except for the last 2. So if you're ready, we'll play the first call.
Hey guys, it's Cameron from off of Screaming into the Internet earlier. Yeah, I can't imagine much of anything I could say not being covered already in the episode itself or by anybody else calling in, but I'm kind of a narcissist who likes to hear myself talk. So, yeah, holy crap. Yeah, K. Rool, I not only love that he's in, but I love the way he's in. I repeatedly said online, like, the ideal, like, way they could have announced him in my head was to be what was, like a fake out at the end of a presentation right when you think it's over, and, it's not only exactly what they did, but they had, a fake out within the fake out with deity, and then another fake out right at the end in game, and we didn't just get K. Rool, we got really wonderfully faithful recreations of Crocodile Isle from DK64, Donkey Kong Island. I don't know if I'm going to have to redraw that map again, but oh man, I held out hope we'd see K. Rool again, but I'd resigned myself to never seeing either of those places looking that way again. And wow. Anyway, I'm happy. Probably got another DK character. We got a villain. I'm really happy for Steve Nails and everybody who had a hand in this creation back in the day. They all deserve to have massively swelled egos right now. They even got the golden belly armor right for this game. Holy crap. And the second people start tearing open this game and ripping textures, I want somebody to get the pirate logo on K. Rool's hat. Damn, this is magical. Was this everything you guys can imagine? Because holy crap, it's pretty spot on for me. Wow. Anyway, thanks guys.
Thank you, Cameron Regal from DK Vine, and of course, Cameron Regal Art. Yeah, that's it's one thing I wanted to bring up with you guys. So the DDD fake out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that was actually an explicit reference to the K. Rool Me costume, or the?
I don't see how
okay.
it couldn't have been. That was something people have pointed out on, I think it was Reddit, was that, as a reminder, Sakurai is the voice actor for DDD. That's the closest thing to a self-insert he has. So it's essentially taking his opportunity to, get a good chuckle and then give us exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. Just, it meant so much. There was so much going on in that trailer. I've watched it now probably close to 70 times.
I've lost count.
And it's just, there's so much going on, both as far as references go, but as far as just the thematic weight of everything this means for the various subsections of fans, be it the Kremling Kampaigners or Donkey Kong fans, or there's just so much history wrapped up in this short, 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes. And I don't know. I love it. But Cameron also brought up the fact that we saw the mechanical Crocodile Isle and the face on Donkey Kong Island. And I gotta be honest, I never thought I'd see the face on Donkey Kong Island again. I never thought I would see a more rare, accurate version of Donkey Kong Island.
It felt like almost a retconning of the retro games, oddly enough.
Yeah. It feels like almost saying, okay, maybe we stripped it down a little bit too much. Let's add these flourishes back in. Our bad. So
Frederick's magical horn brought the face back only just for K. Rool to return and blow it. That's another kind of notch in saying, Sakurai did his homework and went above and beyond. My expectation for that final smash was, relatively straightforward and to the point. He was just going to bring the cannonballs down on the stage, and that was going to be that. They made fully functioning HD models of rare era Donkey Kong Island and the mechanical Crocodile Island, and even made new quirks to it. I think people have pointed out the base of the Crocodile Island is sand. It's organic, as opposed to the mechanical one in Donkey Kong 64. They blended the models from Donkey Kong Country 2 and Donkey Kong 64. That is just fantastic.
Yeah, I also love that clearly they did their homework, but somebody on the Smash team even booted up Donkey Kong Land. Like I love that visual. Like as much as it delighted me that Retro played all of the Donkey Kong Land games when they were doing their homework for returns. It delights me even more that somebody making Smash Brothers had to do the same thing. The belly flop. Come on, what? All right. Well, thank you, Cameron. All right, let's take our next call.
All right.
Hey guys, this is Peon, your favorite competitive Super Smash Bros. Player. Not like you guys care, but regardless, I want to ask you if today's announcement from the Direct is enough to satiate you guys, at least for the time being. I know for a long time you guys have been waiting for more DKC representation in terms of the roster. So, is this it? Is this enough to make you guys content with the package that Sakurai is going to be offering this time around? Or, are you still really hoping that Dixie or perhaps another character shows up either as an Echo Fighter or as a wholly new character? Let me know. Also, bonus question, what do you guys want to see in terms of alternate costumes for, King K. Rool? And what else would you want to see in terms of perhaps stage elements or whatever bonus content having to do with the newest additions to the cast? All right. Well, thank you guys. And I don't know, man.
So I swear to God, if I don't get Bluster Kong in my Smash Brothers, I am going to drive to Japan and burn my copy of Smash Ultimate in front of Sakurai. Count on it.
Yeah, here we go again. Yeah, no, like we brought this up.
Yeah, I think he kind of touched on what we covered earlier about how, I mean, me personally, I'm 100% satisfied with the roster. Like, obviously, I'm hoping for more. If Dixie gets in or Banjo gets in, I'll be ecstatic. But if they don't, I'm not going to like the game any less.
Yeah, well, and it helps. It helps that. Like, I played Smash Ultimate at E3 before I knew, So it helps that I really, really liked the game then. Like, K. Rool isn't this deciding factor that's like, oh, actually, I think I like this Smash Brothers game.
Yeah, you liked it before he even showed up. So
yeah. So
I had a similar sort of experience. Me and Gothic Teddy Bear and another user named Bowser K. Rool, we got to reconvene in the New York store, and we got to try out the demo. Mm-hmm. We can attest to it. It's a great feeling game. It feels noticeably different. And, I hesitate to say I would be content with it without K. Rool, but it would be a good game without him in a way that Smash Wii U, I don't think, really was.
Right, exactly. And that's what I've been kind of advocating for since playing it at E3, but even more so in the last 6 days. Yes, the K. Rool is not what sells me on this game, but holy crap, does it make the game even sweeter. Yeah. It is worth pointing out, though, that we can say we're satisfied that, yes, if we don't get anything else, we got K. Rool, so we're just going to shut up and go into our little corner now. But it is worth pointing out that it's funny that when you look at the breakdowns of who is not in this game or in this franchise yet, they really did leave like so many Donkey Kong characters until the end, until right now, to the point that most of the really like valid arguments you can make are Donkey Kong characters, because yeah, absolutely Dixie deserves to be in. You can make a great case for Cranky. Now you can make a case for Funky. If you want to really expand it to the whole Donkey Kong universe philosophy, Banjo-Kazooie, So we do have that weird vantage point of, yes, we're satisfied with K. Rool, but really we should have been getting characters all along in Melee and Smash 4, because we have just an embarrassment, a wealth of characters that would work well in this game and deserve to be in the game, but we got the big ones, so
yeah. I mean,
everything else is just dessert.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the fact that we've had to wait this long for K. Rool is, I mean, it's not good that we've had to wait this long, but it's still satisfying that he's finally in the game, and now that he's here, we don't really have to worry ourselves with who's left. I mean, like I said, I'll be happy with whoever gets in, because as long as other people are happy, I'm happy, because I got what I wanted.
Yeah, to touch on the costume piece just real quickly, I've seen some people say, they're going to be unlockable, they're going to be hidden. a few people, including myself, under the impression they were kind of a necessary sacrifice to animate him running on all fours without it clipping like crazy, and also to animate the belly counter, and I think they recognize the esteem in which the fans hold those costumes, which is why they include the weapons from them. It's why they have him put on a pirate hat for no reason other than to fire the blunderbuss. And
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's okay.
And also because I think K. Rool is just the kind of guy who would be like, well, I'm firing a blunderbuss. Let me get out my old pirate hat. I'm going to keep it here underneath my cape. Like, just the fact that he concerns himself with that detail, it's very much keeping with K. Rool, but also it's just like a very rare kind of character trait. Like the fact that K. Rool is so spot on in this game, that his personality is not off in any way, and I can see that and be like, that's absolutely how K. Rool would act. I think it just speaks so much to how great of a job that the Smash team does as far as tapping into the essence of what makes each character special to their fans.
Well, yeah, it's so shocking though, because to go from Smash 4 with its anemic amount of Donkey Kong content to this, it's like it leaves me speechless, because I mean, I didn't expect this. I mean, I expected K. Rool to get in, but I wasn't expecting such a faithful adaptation of his character, a faithful recreation of his various different moves, and not only a recreation, but they updated the character for modern times by giving him, a new look and his new running animation, how he runs on all fours.
Yeah,
right.
It
took a ballot to be heard, but once they heard us, they did us right. They did us
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Right.
They listened.
Star Trek fans used to always say that the even-numbered movies were the good ones, the odd-numbered ones were the bad ones. With Smash and Donkey Kong fans, it's the odd-number games where we actually get something, and the even-number games where we're just pretty much shut out. So, I don't know. Enjoy it, because it's Smash 5.
Enjoy it. Smash 5, we're probably going to get nothing. If Smash 5 even exists, like, who knows at this point?
Yeah, I would be happy if this was it. If Smash Ultimate, at least if the series, and obviously it won't, because every time they have a new console, they've got to have a Smash. But this just feels like
Sakurai always threatens that, oh, this is going to be my last game, and then a year later, he starts developing the next one.
Smash Ultimate, something like that. Anyway, let's take the third call.
Let's do it.
Yo, so. Oh my god, I cannot believe King K. Rool is in Smash. And not only that, they actually, made King K. Rool's, moveset ironic to his Donkey Kong series. They got the boxing gloves, they got the throwing his crown, they got the little copter, they got the fucking tower, excuse my language, they got the tower from the N64. Sakurai did him right.
Okay. Yes, he did. I don't really. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We had 21 calls that came through before the episode was recorded last week, and most of them were just basically saying the exact same things we were all feeling, and it's the if you remember the Kong's introduction in the Subspace Emissary in Brawl, that's really what this feels like, where and it's hard for, I think, younger fans and those who just don't remember that era of Donkey Kong as much to remember how cathartic that whole little movie cutscene was of the Koopa troops stealing the Banana Horde and Donkey and Diddy rushing in like action heroes in a tag team duo kind of lethal weapon situation. Anyway, it was such this amazing thing at a time when the uncertainty for the series among the fan base was so high. And I think we're all feeling this with the K. Rool thing in a different way. The uncertainty for the series wasn't there, but for the characters and the legacy of the characters, it definitely wasn't there. And we're getting references to almost every K. Rool appearance. And it just doesn't seem real. It feels so odd, because this is all of the various mock-ups of the moves, all that fans have made over the years, all of the dream scenarios, they've pretty much got everything in there. This doesn't even feel like it's coming from any official source. It feels like this is all just the stuff I was seeing on in the K. Rool thread on Smash boards for the longest time.
Exactly. Like Thomas said, it feels like they literally just looked at a fan moveset for K. Rool and just copied it exactly. Other than the counter, which, I mean, I think it was an interesting addition. Which
it's fitting.
We haven't discussed yet, but exactly. I mean, I certainly wasn't expecting it. I was expecting maybe like a downward thrust where he creates shockwaves from Donkey Kong 64. But honestly, I think the counter it's a good idea because it allows him to actually utilize the belly plate for something because prior to this, it was pretty much just an aesthetic addition. It was just there for display. He didn't actually use it for anything. So I think they implemented it well. I also think that the addition of the counter will actually make K. Rool viable competitively because there aren't any other heavyweights that have access to a counter. So combine the counter with his projectiles, and he's going to be a very versatile defensive character, and I think he has a lot of competitive potential.
Yeah, we're talking about time jumps. This time next year, we might have to endure just a lot of online vitriol. Oh, K. Rool is so overpowered. Did you see what he just did at EVO? Oh, my God. That would be just the most surreal thing on the planet. It's something that I've been doing this past week, too. It's fun to go onto old YouTube comment sections for all the different K. Rool boss themes, for his boss playthroughs, even the goddamn songs from the cartoon. And every one of the top comments is like, "We did it, boys. He's in Smash. We did it. It's his finest hour." It's the most cathartic thing in the world. It's so fun.
Yeah. I haven't brought up the cartoon at all, really. And it's as much as I've been on record for loathing it over the years, it has also played a weird part in stoking the fires of K. Rool fandom. So I'll take it, whatever. I'm not gonna begrudge anybody who likes that iteration of K. Rool. I am glad that, as far as we can see, there are no references to it in his moveset, but
well, not necessarily in his moveset, but some fans have pointed out some things that could be considered references, like after certain attacks or when he gets attacked, his eye bulges out a little bit, which bears a striking resemblance to the cartoon, the way it kind of bulges out.
One thing that we came to find in the course of our campaigning is that the cartoon has a weirdly large fan base in Japan specifically.
Yeah,
they had a lot of exclusive merchandise, a card trading game. So it might not be the ideal representation in some ways, but if we can tap into that support to make it a more global fan base, we'll take what we can get. And I think that proved instrumental during the ballot too. It wasn't a Western character.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Country has such a large fan base in the Americas and South America, and Europe, of course. But it really does feel like that's, for the longest time, we felt like that's it, and it hasn't had the penetration in Japan. So any ins we have, we'll take. And obviously, I feel like K. Rool did have a lot of support in Japan. So, which was surprising when we were looking at these, I don't know how official they were, but all these like ballot polls and surveys of like, how are you voting? And K. Rool's doing surprisingly well in Japan. So,
all right.
Yeah. All right. This is a two-part call, so let's take.
This is call number 4 and 5 are two-parters.
Yes. Okay. So we will take that. Number 4.
G'day, lads. Scratch69 here. How's it cracking, eh? Look, just wanted to personally call in and thank the Kremling Kampaigners for all their hard work since 2014, maybe earlier, in trying to get King K. Rool into Smash Brothers. It just shows you how, a dedicated group can really influence and push an agenda forward to really bring awareness and also a thrill to get something through, there was none of that for Donkey Kong Country's revival, so to speak, but for K. Rool's revival, it was definitely there, and I think, really, you lads were the grassroots or the seeds, I reckon. Like, everyone was thinking it, but you lads, brought it more to fruition, and, it just shows you if the will is strong enough and if there's enough lads supporting it,
anything can be possible to convince someone's mind to change the way someone thinks or to do something. So, yeah. Cheers, lads. I probably should have thrown in a joke about something, but anyway, have a good one.
Well, thank you, Scraps, and I think you two need to view this as a high honor, because that is the most sincere call I've ever heard from Scraps69. So take that as a badge of honor that you actually broke the man into having a sincere emotional reaction on our hotline. So
Wow.
congratulations.
Nothing could make me happier than your thanks for pushing the K Rule agenda, Scrap 69. I appreciate
But that's
smoking Shrek.
Oh yes, even if Shrek won the ballot, the fact that based on the order of these reveals, it was probably Ridley and K. Rool who finished the highest out of actual viable characters. That's always going to make me happy, and it's always going to make me laugh whenever I see like a Shrek DVD in the discount bin or at a flea market or something. I'd be like, tick.
Yeah. Everyone on the forums was like, why do you care? It's obvious you're going to be Goku and Shrek who win, so therefore your characters don't matter, and they're just going to choose whoever. So it's fun to look back on. Those ballot posts were a trip.
Yeah, and now Goku is in Jump Force and Shrek is in Hell, so everybody's happy. So Scraps also has another call, and it's our final call. So let's hear what he has to say there.
Okay.
Good day, lads. Scrap 69 here again about the Kaido reveal and the Kremling Kampaigners. Hey, so I was reading up today about about how Nintendo likes to listen to its Japanese audiences, and how, in a way, on the Japanese forums, for example, they see the reveal of Ridley being playable as a bit of a betrayal and a bit of a Americanism of Smash Brothers, whereas King K. Rool, he's a lad that's popular in both Japan and Western societies. So I'm just wondering, if you don't mind me asking, is if it was just Americans and the Western world that liked King K. Rool, as opposed to, not just the whole world and Japan as well, do you think we still would have gotten him? Or do you think it's because it was both the Western society or as well as Japanese that we got him? Wait, I think I'm getting my things mixed up, but you know what I mean. All right, lads, looking forward to the episode. Have a good one. And again, cheers for all the support for K. Rool and, and pretty much encouraging genocide of both, the Kremling Isle and basically Donkey Kong Isle now. It's like reverse genocide in a thing. Anyway, have a good one, lads.
Thanks, Scraps.
Good question.
You have a good one too, Scraps.
Yeah. So I feel like we were just kind of almost entering this realm of discussion before we took the calls, or before we got to Scraps calls. So, what do you think? Like, it's so weird that like this notion that Ridley is this Western character because he was created by Japanese developers, while K. Rool was created by Western developers. So it's kind of just. They may be popular in different regions, but to say one is this and one is the other is not necessarily accurate. But do you think it bolstered K. Rool's chances at all that he did have this popularity in Japan?
Well, I don't usually like engaging in these type of hypotheticals. I do think his Japanese popularity elevated him to an extent. I don't think it was like the deciding factor or anything like that. I honestly think he could have gotten in regardless. But Donkey Kong Country it's beloved everywhere. It's beloved in North America, in Japan, in Europe, in South America. I think its global popularity is one of the reasons why K. Rool has become such a huge force, and his popularity has exploded. I think he could have gotten in if he wasn't quite as popular in Japan, but I think his Japanese popularity certainly bolstered his chances. Because like he said, Ridley was not popular in Japan at all, and he still got in anyway. And I fail to see how K. Rool wouldn't have as well, when the series he's from it's more popular in the West than Metroid. It's more prolific in the West than Metroid, and K. Rool himself, even in various polls that were conducted prior to or during the ballot, K. Rool usually finished ahead of Ridley. I'd say about 95% of them. Which, I mean, by no means is that a disparagement towards Ridley. I like Ridley a lot, and I'm glad he's in the game. But separating his Japanese popularity, I still think K. Rool was more popular than Ridley overall, at least for Smash 4 DLC and Smash 5. Because after Smash 4, a lot of Ridley fans just gave up. They just gave up on the character, and they stopped requesting him because they figured, well, Sakurai has made up his mind. He's going to be a stage boss forever. Why bother supporting him? And K. Rool supporters were more resilient in our support, even after the Mii costume debacle and the lack of Donkey Kong representation in Smash 4. I think a lot of K. Rool fans, they didn't lose hope. And that's one of the reasons why our movement was so successful. So, like, even during dry months when there was no activity whatsoever in the world of Nintendo, no news, nothing to discuss, a lot of K. Rool fans were out there advocating for the character, spreading the message, spreading awareness. And I think that helped us a lot.
Yeah, the fact that it was, sort of a global effort. I mean, I can't speak a lick of Japanese. I rely on mostly crappy Google translators. But throughout our campaigning, we were able to find several dozen really high-quality fan artists on Twitter who would draw DK, Country, K. Rool, all these different pieces of artwork. And I think that was pretty crucial in keeping the character visible, because otherwise, if just left to our own devices, we could spam our support for the character all day long. But if we can't, show what other people are saying about the character and their ideas for how he could appear and their portrayals, it would have shriveled up a long time ago. And I think that's how we're able to keep it alive for almost 5 years now. And my favorite part of the Ridley reveal, one of them was someone basically extrapolated from a lone Twitter post to say all Japanese fans are calling him Captain America, and they would take Ridley's face and they would Photoshop it above Chris Evans' pectorals, and it was a really funny image. And that's actually one of my favorite parts of the K. Rool reel too. He's getting a whole new generation of fans who are, portraying him in all these great images and mock-ups and fan art. It's something I wouldn't have anticipated. I could have vaguely conceived that this would happen when he came back, but seeing it in practice is just, it defies belief. It's great.
A role I always view for DK Vine is to be the torchbearers for characters that would otherwise be forgotten. And I'm talking about characters far more obscure and far more shit than K. Rool ever it was. But in a lot of ways, you guys were torchbearers for K. Rool, and now you don't have to worry about it because the flame is being carried on by this new generation of fans who will find him in Smash Ultimate, who will play as him and main as him in Smash Ultimate, and then they'll turn on new people to K. Rool, and it just will go from there. And it must be such a good feeling that you can finally just rest. You can get some sleep. You don't if you guys just got offline today, it's done. You did what you set out to accomplish. So, and obviously you're going to keep the Twitter account. You're going to keep engaging in the fandom and keep supporting K. Rool throughout the years to come. But you no longer have to bring him back, and that's just. I can't fathom how that must feel. Like, for me, like, I'm gonna keep going on and on about Evil Acorn from off of Conker's Pocket Tales until I'm elderly and on my deathbed. And Ted the Boat Builder, and I know nobody but us will care. And so I'm eventually going to have to put it in my will that my descendants are going to have to continue for me. But for K. Rool, like, yeah, he's here to stay, and he has young fans, and he's got. I don't know. It's it's wonderful to see. As somebody who's been a fan of K. Rool since I first saw him, I was going to say 1994, but let's be honest, I didn't beat Donkey Kong Country till like spring of 95. So somebody who's been a fan of K. Rool since the spring of 95, it's just, I never thought we would be here. Not that I knew what Smash Brothers was back then, but you know.
It was watching I think it was a cousin play it in 1999. He was beating the final boss. He succumbed to the credits. That left quite an impression. And then I got my hands on the ports a few years later, and it was basically my gateway into the whole rest of the series. And you know, it's all history from there.
Yeah, well, my first experience with Donkey Kong Country was, I think, 1990. No, probably around the same time, 98 and 99. I first played Donkey Kong Country 1 with my siblings. We beat it together. I enjoyed it. I mean, at that point in time, I liked K. Rool, but I wasn't like a passionate fan of the character at the time. You know, Hyle's probably not going to like this, but one of the things that drew me into the series was actually the cartoon, because
It's fine.
as you know,
Banana Slammer.
as you know, I'm Canadian, and the show was actually made in Canada. When a network called Teletoon went on the air in 1997, it's like the Canadian equivalent to Cartoon Network. When Teletoon went on the air in 1997, one of the debut shows was actually Donkey Kong Country. It debuted alongside the network. So the show was a really big deal in Canada. It aired in syndication for like years after that, probably 5 or 6 years, into the early mid-2000s. It was a pretty big deal here. I mean, obviously, I played the games as well. Donkey Kong 64 I bought when it first came out. I think it was like $100 in Canada at the time, due to our weak dollar and, of course, being bundled with the expansion pack. So yeah, I played Donkey Kong 64, Donkey Kong Country 2, Donkey Kong Country 3. That game is very nostalgic for me. It is very, intimate meaning for me, considering my grandmother gave it to me before she passed away. So, the series has always had a special place in my heart for many different reasons, whether it be the game or the cartoon or even Donkey Kong's cameo appearances and the spin-offs. I've always been a huge fan of the series, and I always will be forever.
Yeah, it's been really, really heartwarming seeing all the different entry points people have had into becoming K. Rool and Donkey Kong fans just over the course of our campaign. You know, it's everybody who in the 90s picked up DKC for the first time. It's people who saw K. Rool and Mario Baseball and wanted to give them a try, or even they played Returns or Tropical Freeze, but then they went on the internet and saw, K. Rool support and said, I'm going to check out the old games now and I love them. Or, I'm going to check out the VHS of Legend of the Crystal Coconut from Blockbuster Video. It runs the gamut, but they're all under the same umbrella, supporting the same character and being fans of the same series. And, really, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, I could ask for more appearances by K. Rool. So I want to end things by asking you guys, not necessarily what you think will happen, but what do you want to see K. Rool do after Smash? Where do you want to see him pop up next? Do you want to see a new 2D platformer, a third entry in the Return series? Do you want to see 3D Donkey Kong? Like, where do you think K. Rool's going to appear next?
Well, I mean, I obviously think he's going to return to the Donkey Kong series at some point. Hopefully, the sooner the better. My hope is that since 2019 is the 25th anniversary of Donkey Kong Country, they'll have something planned. Maybe even a remake of the original trilogy with modern visuals. That would be pretty interesting. But for me personally, I'd like to see a 3D platformer. What else? I mean, on one hand, I'd like to see Retro close out their trilogy with one final appearance from K. Rool in a 2D game. And then from there, they can go on and make a 3D game. But I think, as the success of games like Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild have shown, I think there's a real craving, a real demand in the market for 3D adventure games. Not even necessarily platforms, just 3D open world exploratory games where you explore the environment, you can collect things. I think a game in the vein of Donkey Kong 64, but more respectful of the player's time, could have a lot of success. Honestly, as long as he appears in anything after Smash, I'm happy. because I know that Smash has solidified his future as a character. Any character that appears in Smash is basically solidified as a Nintendo All-Star, whether it's Dark Pit or Corrin. Well, maybe not Corrin, but any character that gets into Smash is basically immortalized forever. So anywhere we go from here is going to be good.
Yeah, to add on to that, I say surprise me. Like, Reggie's talk of a new Donkey Kong experience has got my mind just wandering with all different possibilities. It could be a third country retro style. I think there's still unfinished business they could find there. It could be 2.5D. It could be 3D. As far as K. Rool in particular, I would hope that his new appearance follows sort of the template of DK64, where he shows up throughout the game and establishes himself as a presence. I think maybe you could even have a bunch of boss fights throughout the game that increase in difficulty, culminating with a final boss. That would be a cool approach. Maybe it would be a little Bowser-esque from Mario Odyssey. In either way, I'm happy to see where everything goes from here. And I'm confident that the best for the series is yet to come.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty steep climb considering you're comparing it to, say, Donkey Kong Country 2. So, for me, like, the best of the series, I mean, but I agree with the sentiment. I think, really, we have nowhere to go, but continually going up. I feel like everything is breaking our way. And it's such a stark contrast to how we felt 4 years ago when we had this discussion, Thomas.
One quick thing I'd like to just point out for anybody listening, Eric and I and our friend Zombie Saurian, we're working on a sort of thank you card to Sakurai. We haven't quite figured out what sort of form it's going to take. We have artwork being commissioned from Zombie, who is fantastic. If you've ever seen a K. Rool moveset illustrated online, he was probably behind it. But anyhow, if you would like to add your name to sort of a list we're going to try to circulate online, you can either send us a direct message at the Bring Back K. Rool Twitter account, or my Smashboard's username is bkoopa666. Either way, we'll be happy to add you onto the list and just sort of, give Sakurai the credit he deserves for bringing back K. Rool.
Yeah, and before we go, I just want to take this opportunity to thank every single person who's campaigned for K. Rool, every single person who supported us and our movement over the years. You guys have no idea how much your support means to me and to us. We wouldn't be here without you. I mean, this was, even though Thomas and we've had an integral role in bringing K. Rool back, given our activity on Twitter and elsewhere, all of this wouldn't be possible without you guys. So I just want to say thank you to everybody watching, to everybody listening.
Yeah,
and,
without you guys, we would be just two outspoken loudmouths popping off about a fat crocodile. You put us here. You guys brought back K. Rool. This was a fan victory in every sense of the word.
One more thing before I go, I just want to take this opportunity to shill the King K. Rool Wikipedia page, which I wrote myself. I mean, you just one read of it, and you can tell that it was written by a fan. It's pretty obvious, but they haven't caught on yet. I don't think they will, because it's well sourced, it's well written. So.
Yeah, I wrote the Mr. Pants one.
Is it still up there?
I don't know. I haven't checked.
I'm sure it is. I don't think anybody cares enough to even look it up, let alone.
Mr. Pants. Oh no, take it down.
No, I had some fights with the people because was it relevant enough? And ultimately, I was arguing that I think they eventually just merged it with It's Mr. Pants, the game itself. So,
well, that's what originally happened with the K. Rool article, because there was a K. Rool article years ago, and they merged it into list of Donkey Kong characters.
Oh, not the list of.
I was able to construct a 30 paragraph article. And sourcing every single paragraph, and they eventually let it stay. So,
yeah, and wasn't it also Mario Wiki with Bear from Donkey Kong Land 3 and not Bizarre Bear? That was a thing that happened.
That was a thing that happened. I'm okay. Mario Wiki and I are buds now, though. We've agreed to disagree on it, and we have a good laugh over it. So.
There you go.
But Sakurai, if you're listening, if you ever put Bear as a trophy, as an assist trophy, or God forbid, as a newcomer in Smash Brothers, then we are going to have a problem.
Bring
Look,
back Bear.
There are at least 14 Brothers Bear that are better than Bear. So, all right, let's play this remix, shall we? Thank you all. Yeah, this is a good time.
Yep, thank you.
Yes.
This has been a File 2 production.
Qué rico.